Hello and welcome to this episode of the Ranting Atheist podcast. Today we'll be listening to the deconversion story of a Nigerian atheist who was a former Christian, and they lost their faith as they were moving around due to life. Life happens and they have to move around to do different things, and they were exposed to different forms of Christianity and also it inevitably led them to question their beliefs till they got to a stage where they no longer believed. This episode is a kind of special one because this is the first episode we use Discord. So if for any other reason that you need to join Discord, if you want to share your story, please join Discord and reach out. Let's hear your story. If you haven't subscribed up, Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube and other places you'll find podcasts available. Check out the show notes for links you may find useful, especially Discord. So now let's go and listen to the deconversion story of King. Hello bro, and welcome to Story of an Atheist. How you doing now?
I do, my brother. Just taking each day one at a time.
Yeah, welcome. So to the listener, this is the first time we are using a new platform to record, and we hope it goes well, inshallah.
Inshallah, mashallah, bismillah.
So let's see how it goes. So bro, you're welcome. Thanks for reaching out.
For sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We need to be hearing our stories. People think say not just noise they make up and down on Twitter. And I say people don't believe this nonsense now. Calm down.
Right.
Calm down. So can we meet you? Like your name, your location, your age. Well, if you don't want to do age, Gen Z, Millennial, Gen X, who knows? What do you do for a living? Are you single? Have they snatched you? Nothing you want to share with us?
Yeah, sure. So I would say, well, because I don't want to give up my real name for reasons, but you could just call me, we just go by King for the purpose of this interview. And my age, I'm 30 right now, 31 in December. So I guess I'm a millennial.
Oh, sure.
And sure. Oui. And my location. Oh boy, yeah, I'm getting old though. My beard's on the gray, my hair the gray.
Gray care. Guys should be at what age, please?
I know. That. I tell you, it's crazy, bro.
Is it genetic or stress?
It's genetic, I would think.
Find out to Abego.
Nah, I think it's genetic. It's genetic.
Better be.
Yeah, it's genetic. No be stress. Life is not that bad.
Okay.
Location, I'm in Houston, Texas.
Oh, sure.
And I know this is the Lagos of the United States.
So we heard.
Apparently,
say you should work out day or day. Next day, person they tear bad for corner.
I think in some stores, like some Walmarts have like a Nigerian aisle, like dedicated to Nigerians. They don't even write like Africa or whatever. It's literally Nigeria. Yes.
They shout, "Go back to your country!
Yeah.
Go back to your country!"
Nah, they're not serious at all.
Capitalism.
It's not even their country, technically speaking, but
So anyway. They see if people that say that their history is revisionist. So if you argue with them, you're just talking to the wall.
Yeah. So they're not serious at all. But I'm an engineer. I work in it's not quite IT, but it's a tech company, like a semiconductor company, put it that way.
That's nice.
Yeah. So yep.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Anything else?
Are they snatched you? Or are you available?
I'm available for now. I'm talking to someone for now. Yeah. talk to someone, but that's that's
anything can happen.
Anything can happen. If you're listening, if you're in Houston,
you are talking now. By the time this episode drop, you may have stopped talking.
I know. Yeah.
So,
Have you? Inshallah, yeah.
That one's safe, dude. That's one safe. So when it comes to your religious standing, what do you identify as? Atheist, agnostic, irreligious, you don't do labels. What exactly?
Yeah. I know definitely I'm an atheist. And also I feel like I'm a hopeful anti-theist. In the sense that I don't know, my concern mostly is in Nigeria. I really don't care about other places, obviously, because I'm Nigerian.
I care about the US. You are in the motherland of Christian nationalism. Also.
I know. They can do whatever they want. I mean, yes, it affects me.
What they want, they are going to kick you out. You know, you just fit in the Christian nationalism hierarchy. You are a Negro that came from another country. Holy shit, red flag.
That's true, Sha. But I have the confidence that that's not going to happen anytime soon. You know, they can wish, but this is never going to be a what they call that
everybody
thing.
Thought the Supreme Court will not go against Roe v. Wade. So
true.
So yes, slept on the bike.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know, Sha. We'll see, but I don't. I'm not too worried.
The Abrahamic virus. That's their way. They are discussing issues in the Middle East, and now we in Nigeria we are facing two. We have a what they call this now, a sandwich of Abrahamic madness. So it's what we face here.
I guess because I just connect to Nigeria more. I just want I want us to be less fundamentalist. I feel like most Christians and most in Nigeria are like fundamental. I want to be more liberal, like just easygoing Christians, not spiritual. I feel like we'll move forward. So
that's actually the kind of Christians that usually in our circles. The Imperial Club are the few Christians who their theology, looking at it, has been diluted. It's not concentrated on their fundamentalism. So they're able to still see things, but you can still see the point, their boundary, where once they turn back again, they turn back. You see them moving, agreeing with you, somebody they turn back again, but they don't go far off. They still stay closer to logic than insanity.
That's what I want. I don't want all this, I don't know, like,
deeper life motherfuckers.
I don't know, God has chosen this leader and we just have to be behind him, or like, or the ones that say, once my daddy Joe has said something, that's it. And they don't like think or question. Those ones, that's what we need to eradicate. Like think. Just like think.
Use your fucking brain.
It sounds like a low bar. It's like just think.
It's a starting point.
Like please just
in Nigeria, where people will stop being shocked that people that are atheists exist. They'll be like, so you're an atheist, and now you sabi.
Exactly.
That'll be progress. But when people are like, huh? I imagine somebody. There was this place I usually go out from work. I usually go to site. This particular lady I had to talk to at their reception there. I've told her once I was an atheist. Only 4 weeks later, she was not like, "Well, is it that you don't believe in God?" Like, I'm like, that's what an atheist. I don't believe your God is real. Like, I was like, there's work to be done. No?
It's a foreign concept, though. I don't even think, to be honest, in our defense, like, I never came across an atheist in Nigeria, at least not openly. It wasn't even something that was in my forefront. Right. I just took it for like granted that obviously God exists. And we're going to get into my story, Sha, but I feel like I would have reacted the same way if I came across somebody that did not believe in God. I would have been so confused.
Yes, that's true. Because even me myself, I didn't know that it was even possible that the option of not doing again was even on the table.
I
just knew that something is wrong here, and I don't want to be part of it.
Right.
But I could sign out finally.
Right.
Wow,
right.
Who that thought? All right. So you're an atheist. So how do you define atheism? What's your own definition if you asked?
Okay, so I would say atheism is basically not believing in God in the traditional sense, like that there's like a supreme creator that created everything. Basically just not believing in that, and especially without evidence. And look around us, like look around you, like who made the trees? How did we get here? That's not evidence. People don't understand what evidence means. So yeah, I just don't believe in any the God claim. The amount of interactions I've had with theists where they literally lead with, "How do we get here?" I'm exhausted,
bro.
Like having to explain that. Look, even if I cannot explain how we got here, it does not mean that God exists. Like that's the one thing they need to understand.
It's always like, okay, you believe monkeys came from monkey? Who was the first monkey? I'm like, okay, I will pretend like you did just say nonsense, but let me play along. I don't know who's the first monkey, but you are saying Yahweh created a husband and wife that fucked each other till they got to my own existence. Please, how did you find that out?
Exactly.
I have admitted I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You say you know. Explain how you know what you know.
All right.
Simple.
I'm always I play around with them sometimes. I'll twist it and just say, I'll just make up a God and say it was that God that created us, blah blah blah. And then they'll be like, "How do you know?" That's like, it's in this book. Because exactly it's the same thing they believe, right? Like they're reading it from a book and they believe it. But somehow, they think that my own scenario sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
But theirs makes sense. It's
called the God virus. There's only room for one variant at a time. So that's why if you attack Christianity with Muslims, you'll be looking at your side like, wow. The logic gates are firing properly on all cylinders, dissecting But once you flip the table, yikes.
Allah.
The brain goes out the window. It's insane.
Yeah,
I don't know
we'll get there, because that was also something that was a huge revelation for me too. Just like explaining that religion, seeing how that mental gymnastics. I'm like, so you can clearly, as a Muslim, you can clearly see the problems in Christianity. Like it's so obvious, which is common sense, but somehow you cannot see how your belief is just as ridiculous.
Nope. You can't see no fucking way. Okay, so now let's dive into your religious background. Give us the full lowdown, what it was like.
Yeah, so I was raised Anglican. My parents were Anglican. And if you know anything about Anglicans, I don't know if you do, but they're very chill. They're like, I want to compare us to Catholics, or them to Catholics rather.
Well, we know why you can compare it, because a king wanted to knock
his. Who was it?
I don't know the history of the Christian Anglican Church.
Yeah,
basically the English Catholic Church.
Yeah, King James, Abi.
I don't even know the name of the king. I don't know one king. He wanted to marry, and the church did not agree, so he went to create his own church.
That's how Protestants broke off from the Catholic Church, Abi. Yeah, I've heard that story before.
No, I think that was a different. That's Martin Luther. But yeah, the Anglicans too are also Protestants, so one love.
All right. Yeah. I feel like, we're like Catholics in a way, because our church services are like very ordered. So we have like a book where, every service, they have like the order of the service. You start off, I don't know, with this prayer, you repeat this creed, and then you do this. Exactly. You sing all those hymns. We did all that. But to their credit though, they are not insane in the sense of you won't see all this like I don't think with the Catholic Anglicans, they don't speak in tongues. At least not typically.
Yeah. Because see, let me tell you, what you say there, Protestants are more insane than Catholics. So, I all discover when I talk to Catholics, I'm like, oh, you're still living reality. I'm still wondering how the fuck you still believe.
Yeah. Catholics
Pentecostals are insane.
Oh yeah, insane.
Compared to Catholics, Catholics are still living reality.
That's why they don't consider
They are just
Catholics
funding child molestation, unfortunately.
Pretty much. I mean, that's part of the reason why they don't consider Catholics to be Christians, other than the whole Holy Mary worship idolatry.
They are the OGs. Okay, no.
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, like still Anglicans are like very relatively sane, right? They don't speak in tongues. We're not like rolling on the floor, Holy Ghost fire, all those things, right? It's like very, very calm. You show up, you repeat a creed, you sing a hymn, you listen to a sermon, you do offering, you pray.
Okay, no praise and worship and all those.
No praise and worship. No praise and worship at all.
Okay.
Just very, very, very like on that. That's a hymn I think you're singing.
Yeah.
We'll sing that. Yeah, that was a hymn. So we'll sing hymns, but we don't do the traditional praise and worship where you're like clapping hands, moving side to side. Yeah.
That's some Pentecostal shit.
Although I've experienced that too, same. But so grew up Anglican. Both my parents were Anglicans. My parents were not like spiritual. My dad was my dad has passed away now, but he was very spiritual. Like he believed totally, but he wasn't crazy. He was very, very chill. My mom more or less the same. So we used to go to church like obviously every Sunday. Miserable. I hated it because it was like 3 hours. You go at 10, you don't leave till 1. It was I absolutely hated it growing up, but obviously I didn't have a choice, so what can you do? So grew up in that background. I guess growing up,
you stayed there till adulthood.
So I was an Anglican, I guess, until I was like 16. So 16 was like when I left for the US for school. So when I came to the US, there really was, maybe there were Anglican churches, but I didn't really like seek it out because that church to me was like a Redeemed church. So and I started going to Redeem. And even back then, to be honest, I didn't really think much about, that different churches. And, to me, church was just church, Christianity was just Christianity. I didn't really think that there were like different sects and they had different ways of doing things.
I went to a Catholic primary school. So when they are doing Hail Mary, full of grace, and always catching cruise, like you people are not worshiping nonsense. How you be worshiping Mary? Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. I know they talking there when it comes to Mary matter.
All right.
Like you people are not serious Christians.
You guys are going to hell.
Damn it. And when I see Pentecostals and Catholics, but I'm not surprised. We have been programmed to have that mentality about the Catholics from childhood.
Yeah. I remember when someone told me like Catholics are not real Christians, I was so confused. I was very young then. And I didn't really get it. So I was like, I thought we all believe in Jesus, but apparently within Christianity, they have their little beefs.
So many variants.
Bro. So, but
so what's the experience like in Redeem?
In Redeem, so after I was an Anglican all through. I was in Nigeria until like 16. I went to an Anglican school, like boarding house in Nigeria, and then after that, I left Nigeria. I went to the US and I went to Redeem. My experience was it wasn't bad. The services were shorter. It wasn't like 3 hours. I don't know how Redeem is in Nigeria, but in the US, nobody's coming to a 3-hour service. Like there's just people have things to do.
No, they know their markets. They know the target market. But in UK, I'm sure to be shorter self. US is more religious than UK. People don't have time for church, and I'm sure your church there, the church then, it was very serious. What they call it, soundproof, Abi.
Oh yeah.
Or like
you can't see
you carry
no speaker outside.
megaphone, everything like that. So yeah, Nigeria, they when is a special Thanksgiving service, be ready for 4 hours.
Oh yeah, oh God. You're giving me PTSD.
Yeah.
PTSD, bro. So yeah. So yeah, like in the US, it was, I don't know, I'm gonna guess maybe max 2 hours, maybe like an hour and a half, sure.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah, like it wasn't bad. I was mostly going because I was living alone at the time, and then I was young. My parents, and this is how. So the redeemed pastor, he used to do this thing where he would come to the international office. This is where like all the international students would, you have to kind of go there when you just get there, right? So he would go there, he would find all the Africans, and he would kind of like talk to their parents. So that was his way of just like getting you into the church. So he would talk to your parents.
Recruitment,
indoctrination.
Tactic.
So obviously now your parents are going to be like, oh, like they're worried about their child abroad at a young age, and then they see this pastor.
The pastor to monitor you.
The guy, they were like, oh, there's this pastor, he's going to watch my child and all this stuff. Yeah, like they committed me to his hands, for lack of better words. So I did not have a choice. I had to go to. It was one of those things. If he's not go to church, you'll be harassed. Like I'm talking, the pastor will come to your house and knock on your door, and you have to have a good reason. You have to have a good reason why he didn't come to church. So so like I put up with that. My undergrad, they even, now that I think about it, they kind of I wouldn't maybe not use the word forced, but I was an usher. They made me an usher because the pastor just used to pressure me. And back then, I just didn't know how to deal with pressure. Didn't really like confrontation. So once you just like, like kind of emotionally guilt trip me that I should like serve the Lord and all this stuff, I'm like, okay, yeah. So they made me an usher now. So I was like, yeah, because you feel guilty. It's like you're supposed to serve God and all these things. If you don't, then I don't know. You just kind of feel like you have to share. So I was an usher, and like it was okay. Other than there were periods where I wouldn't want to go to church. Maybe I want to watch football or something, but I'll go, because if I don't go, wahala, the pastor is going to show up, and then I'm going to have to explain myself. So I'll just go. So I did that for about 4 years or 4.5 years while I was there. And then from undergrad, I went to a grad school. And then my grad school wasn't I moved like cities. And I'm sure where I was living, there were redeemed churches for sure. But for some reason or the other, I didn't end up in a redeemed church. I ended up at a church called King's Word. I don't know if you heard that one before.
That sounds like an independent startup.
They are in Nigeria, because I know they've had like Daddy Gio come over, because he does US stores.
It's a Nigerian church.
It's a Nigerian church. It's called King's Word.
Oh, and popular.
Okay, but yeah, maybe I don't know, but I know that Daddy Gio has come over to the US. He's done like a tour where he goes to all the branches.
Okay.
And then he makes like guest appearances, kind of like redeemed pretty much. But they were more chill. They were definitely less strict than the redeemed people. I actually enjoyed going to church then, because I kind of felt like, because they were not, if I didn't come to church, they were not at my door, asking me that, we didn't see you today, what happened? So I kind of felt like, I was going out of my own will, basically. And somehow I just made it, no pressure, I kind of just made me feel more willing to go. That I'm actually going to like worship God and all that stuff,
That's actually the way it's supposed to be. Not if you don't go to church, I'll be like, okay, no problem. That's what they do us for covenants. Covenant, they go church. So from my 300 level to graduation.
How do you manage that?
It's this thing. I'll go hide inside a room. Then the attendance then was still manual. So what we discovered that is the only way the way you remain invisible is by not signing. So the days we go to church, me and my friend then we will not sign. So we are not in the system. So you can't know. And the attendance of chapel and class were separate then until the last year, the last 2 years that they finally joined it. So if your chapel service is not complete, your class attendance is in danger.
It's crazy, Sha, to think that they're taking attendance, they're tracking. I don't know.
That's what authoritarian systems do now.
I never understood covenant, honestly. It just sounded like a glorified secondary school to me.
I can't argue with that.
Never understood that, Sha. But yeah, like I used to go to church after, and just it was calm. If I didn't show up, nobody would come to my house to like ask me, "We didn't see you today." Now, maybe if I didn't go for, maybe like it didn't see me for like 3 weeks consecutively or something, I might get a text saying, "Oh, are you good?
Okay?
Are you okay?" But even then, I never really felt like it was anything. It just, just checking up on me. Like, I haven't seen you in 3 weeks. Like, hope you're not going through something or whatever. And so so them, they were like very, very calm and very, very chill. So I actually enjoyed going to church, and everyone in church it was a small church. But I think at that point in my life, I kind of noticed that the big mega churches felt soulless. It felt like a business. You didn't really feel any connection. But the smaller communities, or it wasn't a big church, like I felt like, oh, okay, I actually have friends and we're all like a group and all that kind of stuff. So,
okay.
Kind of nice to go there. But yeah, kind of.
So Redeem, did you stay there? How long were you Redeem, or did you jump again?
No. I stayed in Redeemed my whole time in college. That was like 4.5 years. I was there the whole time. They really, I was in a very like remote state. So they were not, especially if you wanted to be in a Nigerian church, that probably was like the only Nigerian church that they had in that area. So, unless you wanted to like branch out and go to like, a white church or whatever, sure. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just like, it's very foreign to you because Igbo people, they conduct their own services very differently. So you might not really drive with how they do things, right? So,
okay.
But I was in Redeemed the whole time.
So after college now, what happened next?
Yeah, so after college, I moved cities for grad school. That's when I went to that King's Word church, and it was a good time for the most part. And then I guess after that, grad school is like shorter, it's like 2-ish years or whatever. And then after grad school, I moved cities again, started working full time.
That King's Word, was it besides the Nigerian, was there anything peculiar? It was just like any other Pentecostal evangelical church in Nigeria, or besides them adapting, were there things that can only happen in Nigerian church, but it was still weird for a Nigerian church? I don't know.
There was nothing weird. There was nothing weird, really.
You understand what I mean? What I'm asking?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah. The only
the Chris.
No, they were very, very cool. The pastor actually was a woman, and she was an engineer. She was a chemical engineer, so she had a day job. This wasn't her full-time job. So, it was.
Now why they never blew? Now the pastor did full-time. The hustle is strong. And why they never blew?
Right.
The hunger and drive.
All right. But yeah, it was calm. The only thing I think I can remember was they had like one service where they laid hands on me for some reason. And I kind of fell, and I feel like embarrassed when I think back to that moment, because I think I just kind of felt because I felt like I had to.
There's priming.
Yeah, because they call you to the front now and everybody's watching, and you're in the moment, you're in the spirit, blah, blah, blah. And you just kind of feel like you just have to,
the demon where they fool my body, they know they follow. I know they fall. It's funny though, whenever I was waiting for like to feel some sensation come out of that hand, I don't feel anything. I'm not like, How are you people falling? How? In fact, when all the quote and unquote witches are screaming,
I know.
I was in secondary school. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And it's always women, always girls.
Always, yeah. I had that. In secondary school, yeah, like I experienced that so much. We used to have vigils where people would be like under the anointing, quote unquote, and they're like on the floor wriggling, and I'm like, oh my god. And then sometimes I remember there was this one time that they cast out a demon from somebody, and the sky turns red or a different color or something. And dude, I was like so terrified. You know,
as you close your eyes, it is open your eyes, demon will enter you.
It felt so real, you know.
Well,
like
I'm like, how to think it as real.
So how can you explain this? You know, that's how I felt at the time. Like obviously, like something's going on, kind of thing, Sha. But I in this King's Word Church, I wasn't like any I didn't have any role. I was just going to church, and that was it.
Soft life.
Just soft life, yeah. At that point, I was free from those redeemed people, that redeemed pastor where they monitor me. So for the first time, I actually felt like, oh yeah, I'm actually doing this out of my own will, kind of thing. And if I miss church, I miss church, not a big deal. I'll go next Sunday, kind of thing. So yeah, it was pretty chill, pretty calm. I enjoyed it. People were nice. It was a small community. Almost everybody, they were like friends, kind of thing. So it was pretty cool, Sha. Pretty cool.
So how long were you with Kings?
Word.
Was Kings your last bus stop before you started?
That was pretty much my last shot. I was there for maybe 2 years.
Okay.
And then I graduated, and then I moved for work. And at that point, I was going to church like very sparingly. Like I'm talking in a year, maybe I could count how many times I went to church, maybe like 3 times ish.
Try.
Yeah, I tried though. Every time I would go to church, they would try. Like I remember I went to this one church, and literally the first day I showed up was an African church. The first day I showed up, the pastor, you know how they do, like if you're a newcomer, stand up, blah blah blah, stood up. After church, pastor came to meet me. I was like, oh, brother, you're welcome, blah blah blah. What do you do? I told him what I did. It's like, oh, I'm looking for a technician or something, Sha.
They find free labor.
Free labor, yeah. It was like, oh, I'm looking for somebody, Sha, and maybe you can fill that role. I mean, I was just like, guy, like I didn't even know if I want to come to this church yet. This is my first visit. I'm just checking out the vibe,
Yeah, they're recruiting employees.
Pretty much, free labor. They're not paying you. Come on, work.
Work for God. I go open church while alive.
We should do. So I told you, I said I'm not. I told him I'm still looking, Sha. I'll let him know. I just never go back to them, Sha. But at that point in my life, I was just maybe I would not go to church if someone invited me, and I wasn't really taking church. I still believed in God, but I wasn't really. Yeah. I was a very like chill, calm Christian. Like,
coasting along, chilling.
Yeah.
Baba God, yeah. But we still need to go and shy you.
We still have to. We still chop life now.
Baba God, yeah. But a lot of double now.
Exactly. Yeah. It was calm until like COVID. So now we're getting into like when I kind of stopped believing.
Yeah.
So COVID happened, and I don't even, because COVID had a lot of time on my hands, right? I was home. I was working from home. And I think I was just on my computer. I was on YouTube. And I think I saw a video that was like, does God exist? And obviously you're just bored, so you're just like watching whatever. And that video caught my attention because at that point I was like, obviously God exists, So I wanted to even hear
what the fuck do you have to say?
Oh yeah, I wanted to hear the nonsense the people wanted to say, right? I think it was a Christopher Hitchens video, and it was It was at Biola University, which I think is like a Christian school or something, sure. So I listened to it now, like, oh, what does this guy want to say? And it was making sense. And I was not ready for that. I was like, what the hell? Like, this guy actually is making sense. And the person he was debating was just coming at it from like an emotional perspective. At least that's what I felt, sure. And then you know how YouTube works now. So you watch a video, they recommend other videos. And I saw
send you down the rabbit hole.
That rabbit hole, guy. During that whole process, I felt like I was doing something bad. I used to hide my computer. I used to clear my history.
Bro, were we living the same lives? I didn't but I was trying to make sure nobody was watching with me.
Guy, I was dating someone at the time. We used to live together, and I was like, I cannot let her see what I'm watching.
Oh, okay.
Like I was watching porn.
That's like I'm even less cautious with
I swear. I was like, I felt like I was doing something very bad. And then I saw a video, can't remember the guy's name, Sha. He makes animations. It's not Dark Matter. This guy, I know Dark Matter is like very popular, but this guy had like a video. It was titled something like "Contradictions in the Bible."
That's non-stop collector.
Yeah, that guy, like exactly.
Mastic kind of.
Yeah, him. Yep.
Game show? Was it a game show?
It was a game show now. So
that video is still working miracles till tomorrow.
So I saw that video and everything he was saying, I was looking it up my Bible.
Look, devil will catch you.
I was like, what's going on? Like, wait, because
it just be saying it's a lie. It's a lie.
It's a lie. Like, can't be. Like, how have I never heard this before? And the thing is, the kind of Christian that I was I believed that the Bible was inerrant, right? So I believed in inerrancy of the Bible, which to me made sense at the time, and it still makes sense to me. So for anyone who doesn't know, right? So inerrancy kind of means that the Bible is perfect. There's no error.
Yeah.
Right. And to me, it kind of makes sense because if God is perfect and this is his message that he's conveying to human beings, that he wants us to get his message, obviously he's going to make sure that his message is perfect. So, which means there shouldn't be any error at all. Mm-hmm. It makes sense to me. I honestly do not understand Christians. I know some Christians are like, well, human beings wrote it so they can make mistakes. But I'm like, yeah, like God can easily edit, people, authors these days, they have editors that like read through that stuff and like, edit their books. Like, are you telling me God can't edit his message to human beings? I don't know, sure. But anyways, so I was like a Bible inerrancy person. So it really troubled me that there were mistakes in the Bible, and I would kind of like Google, okay, how do you reconcile this? And
apologetics website will choke.
So that's an interesting thing. I don't know. I guess those guys pay more money. They show up first. If you Google like something, you really have to like look for and go to, other pages on the Google search to see, and I would say unbiased reports. But yeah, I saw a lot of apologetics websites trying to explain the errors and contradictions. I mean, some of it I could kind of say, okay, fair enough. But some of it I'm like, yeah, that's a stretch. Like you're really stretching the truth at this point. So that was, for me, that was very, very troubling. And then same thing now. So like, I kind of started thinking, okay, well, if at that point, I started feeling like, well, if I didn't know about these contradictions, like what else is in the Bible that is off that I don't know about, right? And then
any particular standout contradiction that caught you off guard, or is there anyone that you vividly remember? How do you like?
I mean, like it's been COVID, like it's been a couple of years now, so maybe I don't remember the exact, but I remember it was even like simple things like they would talk about a king of Israel that started reigning at a certain age.
Okay.
In a different book, they'll say this same king started reigning at, maybe for example, in one, maybe like in I would say like maybe Numbers or something. They'll say this king started reigning when he was like 40, and then in another book they'll say started reigning when he was 42. like that, I'm like, it cannot be both. It's the same person we're talking about. It cannot be 40%. I'm giving an example. I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm just thinking that so God could not be asked to just freaking take a second because he's God. He could literally take 5 seconds and like correct everything. So he could not care enough to just say, oh, by the way, you made a mistake. Oh, this is the actual age, So there's stuff like that. There's other things like, I think on the road to Damascus, when Jesus rode on the donkey into Jerusalem, right? There's this story where he healed like a blind person. In one of the gospels, he healed one blind person. And in that gospel, he healed like 2. And I know people are like, okay, well, what does it matter? I shall heal blind people.
That's always what pisses me off. Well, not like details. You say details inspire. Details matter. I'm sorry, but this is your perfect God. You can't have this like if human beings can produce a better work than this today.
Yeah, exactly. Human beings will have editors, and an editor would have caught that and said, "Hey, something's off here." So like, I know people are like, "Oh well, it's just an eyewitness report." People can make mistakes, but again, like you said, right, it's God, so come on, And then what was ridiculous to me was people saying that like it was different days. Now, like it doesn't mean it happened the same day. That was just that
different time, a different era, different work.
No, not even like it's a different era. It's just people saying that like pretty much he went to Jerusalem twice. On one occasion, he healed a blind person. I was like, that, you're stretching it. Like, come on, like don't I didn't find those believable, sure. And then also like the one about his resurrection. You know how the different gospel accounts have different kind of, they're like in one gospel, maybe they went at dawn in the morning to his tomb. And then it has like it has maybe Mary going to the tomb. And then it has like, when she got there, she saw like 2 angels. Yeah. And then in another gospel, it's like they went at night. And they saw one angel, those the 2 differences.
One angel outside, one angel sitting inside.
Right.
The apologetics I've heard on that shit.
Yep. In one case, the stone that was blocking the tomb was rolled away already. In that case, it wasn't yet. They rolled it when they got there. It was all these little differences, Sha. So that really like bothered me, Sha. And then obviously I stumbled across like Dark Matter videos. I watched some of his animated. So Dark Matter is like a YouTuber for those listening that are not sure. And I watched like some of his videos and I'll watch it and I'll go read the Bible like, wait, did this happen? Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, how did we never hear about this?
Because it wasn't part of the syllabus.
It's crazy. I'm like, how was this never brought up? And I'll read this in obviously he exaggerates a little bit for comedic purposes, but still the like the story itself is still whatever happened.
No, those 2 extra spice for dramatization.
Right. So I read it myself, like, okay, like this actually seems weird. Like, why is God allowing like Moses to capture like sex slaves? It just seems so weird. Like, this is not the loving God that I knew. Something's up. So I read all those stories and I was like, okay, how do I reconcile this? And like same thing, I Googled apologetics. It really wasn't making sense. Like all the genocide, the Israelites like killing people and all that stuff. Like, yeah, they had to kill them because otherwise they would have grown up. I'm talking about like the kids, the children of the people. Right. Like, but so guy, I was going through all of this, and I think also I stumbled across. I don't know if you know this guy. He's a Jewish rabbi, Rabbi Tavian. Have you heard of him before?
No.
Okay, yeah, he's a Jewish rabbi, and I mean this sounds silly, but for some reason I never really knew what Jews believed in. I don't know, because I guess in Nigeria there's not really a lot of Jewish people.
They are Jews, but they are jokes. Joke of Jews. One is Nnamdi Kanu.
Is it all these Hebrew Israelites people?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I learned about them later, but at the time, I never really knew anything about them. I never knew
You
what
didn't
like
even know
Jews.
they existed.
You never know. Did not know they existed. Did not know what Jews believed. So somehow, I kind of came across like, oh, like Jews don't believe in Jesus. I was like, wait, like that makes no sense because Jesus was Jewish. So why don't they believe in Jesus? Kind of went through that rabbit hole too. But long story short, I went through all those things. At least, actually, I genuinely, because I wanted to believe. Because, guy, it's not easy to. I don't know. At that point, I think I was 28 or 27. It's not really easy to just like think everything you've known your entire life
Yes,
was
no.
fake.
There'll be that nagging fear of, guy, what if you are going off a deep end?
Right.
Like, are you sure?
Are you sure? Yeah, because especially when everyone around you believes this thing, like it feels so real. And you're the only one deviating, saying, actually, I don't know if this is real or not. So I actually gave the apologies their fair chance to explain. It just wasn't making sense. And then I think at some point I was fairly sure that, especially when I listened to that rabbi, right? Because this rabbi, he's Jewish. He will show how like, Christians would take the Hebrew Bible, which is quote unquote the Old Testament. They would translate things from the Old Testament differently from what it was originally in the Hebrew to kind of like make it seem more Jesus-y, right? Like, so for example, maybe like in Isaiah, they talked about the Messiah, right?
Yeah.
And Christians would kind of like take the original translation and mistranslate it to make it seem like it was prophesying Jesus, So I was just like, okay, this is problematic. And then I think I remember at some point I was very much convinced that it was all nonsense. Like this wasn't making sense. And then I was like, okay, let me check. Because I had Muslim friends. I actually never really knew what Muslims believed in. And I was like, you know what, let me actually like just out of curiosity, let me see what Islam's all about.
Yeah.
And I remember like finding, like learning what they believe in and then reading parts of the Quran, not the whole Quran. And in the Quran, it is very problematic. What was that?
I know you won't die. Read the whole Quran.
I know. It's not even interesting, but the Quran has very problematic verses. And I was seeing the excuses that Muslims were coming up with. I'm like, this is literally what Christians come up with. Or they'll say you have to read it in context. They'll say it at a different time. And I was like, because me as a non-Muslim, I can clearly see the scheme, the scam. It's so obvious. Like it's very, even to now, I'm like, how can you look at this and not know that it's fake?
Like for me, when I just stretch my neck to even look into it, when I just saw that, come on, when I get similar characters from the Bible, when I adopt those. As I said, so this is the way I just was like, oh, so the Torah is friends. What do you call it? The New Testament is that Joey show that was a spin-off from Friends. Islam is How I Met Your Mother. Every time. That's the way I see those three religions. Like, holy shit. You just see it clearly, like such nonsense.
It's so you know a little bit about Mormons, right?
Yeah.
I'm still convinced that Joseph Smith took a playbook out of Muhammad's, because it's so, I was like, okay, God revealed himself to me. Nobody was there. It was just me. You just have to believe. And this is what God said. And then he made up like a bunch of shit.
Golden tablets.
Golden tablets, Mm-hmm.
Then it was missing. He now rewrote it and was reading it out of a hat.
Right.
And did not write the exact thing of, oh, God damn it. Like,
you hear the Mormon story and you're just like, obviously, this is bullshit, right? Because they were
when
like,
I
okay.
heard that thing for the first time, the parallel I drew to it was the fucking 10 Commandments.
Right.
Because like, remember the story that he broke the first one went
and
back
he
to
got
rewrite it, and
and
it
it
was
was
different from the first one.
yep, exactly.
Okay.
And it's just like, how are you guys not picking up on the fact that clearly you're
You
being
can't.
played? It doesn't make any
You can't.
sense.
When you are born into it, you are shaped by it. You will never, ever, ever, ever set by luck, because different things trigger people to start questioning.
And
Yeah.
it's interesting because for me, I like, for me, like, it's either made sense or it did not make sense. Because like after I kind of, I went through this process. I think all this deconverting process for me took maybe 2 or 3 weeks. I talked to a couple of friends, and I talked to my girlfriend at the time. She's still a Christian.
2 or 3 weeks. Wow.
For me, it was fast because I'm just like, okay, well, it just was not adding up. Like, first of all, like, for me, the biggest thing, I think if I was not a Bible heresy person, it would have taken longer, right? So
Okay.
if I believed it, because I believe the Bible was perfect, because God is perfect, and once I found one mistake, that just crumbled the whole thing for me. Some people don't believe that. Some people are like, yeah, the Bible is inspired by God, but still human beings kind of, wrote it. So, a mistake in the Bible is not a big deal for them. Right. So for me, it was a huge deal. So once I found something that I could not reconcile, because I remember like there was this Bible verse in Matthew. So the author of Matthew, he quoted something from Hosea, right, where he talks about how what was it about again? It was something about how like God brought his people out of Israel. So in the actual Old Testament scripture, I was talking about the nation of Israel, but the author of Matthew made it seem like it was talking about Jesus. And the author of Matthew like quoted only some parts from Hosea. He didn't quote the rest. If you read the rest from the original Old Testament in Hosea, you can clearly see that this is not talking about Jesus, right? So I saw that and I'm like, okay, clearly this guy is like trying to convince us that Jesus is the Messiah. Like, it wasn't real.
That's when people will start saying the Old Testament synchronizes with the New Testament. I'm like, the guys that wrote the New Testament had access to the Old Testament. So it's just a matter of creative writing and draw some strings.
Right.
And voila, you have Emmanuel.
Exactly. So, yeah, for me, once I saw one issue, it broke everything for me. I was just like, yeah, like this is not adding up. It was a very, very quick process for me. I was like, yeah, this is not.
The lack of inherency was what caused the crack.
That was it though. And it was very, very fast because I can't understand why God can be omnipotent, omniscient, and he would, especially if he cares, why he would allow like such, inaccuracies and like, incoherencies, right? So either he doesn't care.
The only way people can find out about his character.
Right, exactly. But he does not talk to us in person, right? So we have to read that book to learn about him and what he wants.
Will come and join us in between. You need the Holy Spirit to read your Bible. Well,
I hate seeing that.
Well, it's a spirit. It may not be holy, but I call it absolute VDK.
Oh gosh, the amount of conversations I've had with Christians where I like clearly point out a discrepancy or something that's like, this is obviously a conflict, and they tell me that you need the Holy Spirit. I'm just like, God, like, so I'm just.
I learned to not get frustrated sometimes, or those. I try hard, because the way I see it, when you're arguing with Christians, just imagine this hand-to-hand combat. So they are blocking all your shots. You are so you yourself, when you are bringing all these things and they give you their response, they are blocking till something just mistakenly part of your hand gets to and give them a gut punch. That is why it doesn't happen in a single conversation.
Right. And
that's the way it is. That's the way I've interpreted it.
And the funny thing is, if you think about it, even if we were supposed to accept their idea that you need the Holy Spirit, isn't that like counterproductive? So God has a message for us that He wants every human being to understand, and then you need the Holy Spirit to interpret what God wants you to know. But then God doesn't give the Holy Spirit. How does that make any sense?
There's something you have done. There's something you're not doing. His ways are higher than our ways. So there's something you are not doing. Something you have done. It's a sin you need to ask for forgiveness. Because if you sin against the Holy Spirit, you will die.
Yep.
I feel Holy Spirit passed God those days. Man, not lie.
I used to. I remember learning about the unforgivable sin. I was maybe like 7. And I was super paranoid. I was super paranoid that I was gonna die. Like I was screwed up.
If you just do your day, next thing you just collect decking from Holy Spirit.
They just don't know. No matter what you do, no matter how good you are,
you just they church, they look, they disturb. That's the spirit. Okay, you keep quiet, slump and die. That's the way. Can you imagine? Fear is a very powerful tool.
Very, very powerful. And most Christians that I've spoken to, it's fear. Even though they don't realize that it's fear. You know, I know because we'll talk, and then it always devolves to, okay, when you die now, you find out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, I'll find out what exactly, and in their mind, it's like, yeah, you're going to, go to hell and you're going to be tortured forever. I'm like, so you're literally like, you're threatening me and you are held back by fear because the reason why you are a Christian is because you don't want to go to hell. Pretty much. Even though they might not recognize that and they might not, like, if you accuse them of that, they'll say, oh no, that's not why. But that's literally it. Because otherwise you won't tell me once you die, you find out.
It's so easy to get there. You'd be like, okay, I'm giving, like, you just ask them the simple question of John 3:16, and whosoever believeth in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. Please explain what it means to perish, I beg.
True.
Explain in context, since you are the one with the right context, what perishing means. What does it mean to perish? What perishing we are being saved from? Right,
exactly.
And that's where you know. So the ones that I didn't know where you're going, deflect, distraction, and if you bite it, that one don't go.
Mm-hmm.
That's the tactic.
They're loving God to torture you forever, but yeah.
Yeah. You're an atheist. Who did you tell first? Family and friends? Who was the first person you told?
So I told a gay friend because I just thought it was easiest because I kind of figured that, I mean, I feel like he would understand. Even though, funny enough, he was a Christian struggling with being a Christian and being gay.
Yeah, with self-hate, thanks to fucking Christianity.
Funny enough, he started me on my path, kind of, because finding out he was gay, he was one of my best friends. I kind of like cut him off because I just didn't know how to process it. I was homophobic. And after a while, I kind of gave it some thought and figured like, oh, this is kind of very stupid because I like this guy for, we have similar sense of humor, interest in the same things. He's still the same person. Before I knew he was gay, we were friends. So like, what does that really change? So that kind of made me just kind of slowly move from a very conservative Christian to maybe like a more liberal Christian. So I told him first. He was like interesting. I don't know. Even now, I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's still a Christian or not, but he was the first person I told. And then I told another friend who was surprised because I guess he was very Christian. I was kind of like shocked that what? So once I had that friend's reaction, I just kind of realized that I guess I can't just tell people that.
Can't tell anybody anyhow.
Can't tell anybody, yeah, like can't just assume that, so at that point I started becoming selective. And then I told my ex, well, she was my girlfriend at the time. She was like,
tell me.
What was that?
Is it because you stopped believing? She stopped loving you?
No. That wasn't for her, Sha. It was other reasons. But she was like, I pointed out all the problems that I saw. Like, I was sure, like, the genocide. And I'm like, okay, really, like, they're killing children, they're killing everybody but the virgins. Like, how can you?
Yep.
That's not the loving God we know. Like, think about it today. And she agreed with me, funny enough, on most of the things. And she didn't have answers, but for her, it was like, I have my personal experience with God. So even though
you can't beat it, beat personal experience.
I learned that. Yep. So even though what you're saying makes sense, I still have my personal experience that I cannot explain outside of this Christian theology. It had to have been God. So, but yeah, I told my ex at the time, and I told like a really good friend. So I told the friend that is a deist. He believes in a higher power, but he doesn't believe in the Bible.
Mm.
I think that's about it. I really haven't told too many people after that.
No family member knows.
Hell no. hell no, bro. Like my mom. But you know what's funny is my mom, she's a Christian, but if Kasala burst, my mom will go to Babalawo if we need be. So I'm like,
you know what story of Leko Kalaba? So it is like slap them for me.
It's like she's like whoever can help me at this point,
Yeah.
So she's a funny Christian in that she's a Christian, but when things get hard and she's praying to God, like Yahweh, and Yahweh is not answering, she will go.
She'll go Alpha. What is it?
I swear.
My views on Yaman or maybe you answer me fast. No time.
She'll go wherever. So, but I can't tell her because she won't take it well. I don't even think it's worth it, to be honest. There's no point.
I hope they see the issue is one way that they have to know. Me, I know my own day is coming. Because they will somehow these beliefs, they will use it to want to push something into your life that you have to be like, no, I don't want it. And when they say why, because I see it as bullshit. And the best time to do that is when all leverage they have on you has been cut off.
All right.
That is, so when they still have leverage, silence is the best answer. That is where I am. So they still have some leverage on me. That's why I'm still like.
How so?
Well,
I mean, if you're comfortable to share.
We can talk down offline, but
okay.
So that's why I'm still like, silence you.
Yeah.
Let's calma. But if I cast before then, fuck it.
Right. Nah, my people don't
have. They are not feeding me, so that's that leverage. They are not feeding me, so that leverage is not even on me.
Right.
There's still leverage on me.
Yeah. No, my dad has passed away now, but my mom, she has no leverage on me, pretty much. Like, no one has any leverage on me. I have a sister, so I could tell them. Peace. Yeah, I could tell them, but it's just one of those things where they will not understand. And even if I explain...
You're not ready for the backlash.
I'm ready to backlash to explain. They will not get it even if I explain. My sister, maybe she might. But my mom, she's just definitely not going to understand, and it's not what it's...
So, àwọn America, wọ́n ti gbọ́ mọ́ mi lọ. Ó lọ sí America. Torí pé, go to that godless. Sometimes when my father will just say, godless country, I'm like, it's better than the God country. Godless country, hey? We the godly country. Look at us. Exactly. We have a drug lord as a president.
Exactly.
Thank you. So it's so funny how we don't even look internal. We just godless country. Yeah. Give me the godless country, please.
I remember there was this guy. I don't know if you know this guy. I don't know the name of his church. Is it Harvesters? Maybe Bolaji, something like that.
Yeah,
Do you know
I
what I'm
think it's
talking about?
Avestas. Yes,
Yeah,
I think it might be
that guy, man.
Avestas.
I dislike him for a lack of a better word.
What
My
happened?
ex. No. Too many people idolize him. I remember I listened to a sermon where he was saying something like, people that immigrate abroad or whatever that are less spiritual, which makes sense because you don't need to pray for basic shit.
So, yes, now
You don't need to pray for a job. You don't need to pray for a car. Like, there are mechanisms in place where you
basic
get those
things
things.
are right at your fingertips. So what is no need for your God, I beg?
You don't need God for basic shit, right? So he was preaching this somewhere where he was like, pretty much, literally, I'm never making this. He pretty much said that, in Nigeria we might be worse off, but at least we're more spiritual, so we're better off than people that are abroad that are less spiritual because they depend less on God for basic stuff. And I'm just like,
He has to say that so that the congregation will be kept in. It's a brilliant move if he's even aware of what he's doing. You can't tell them outside is better than inside here. We die here, motherfuckers. That's the
I was so I watched that. I was just like, I watched that to my girlfriend. I'm just like, the thing about like leaving Christianity is you kind of, when you listen to like sermons and all these things, I guess since you're not maybe not brainwashed, but like since you're not like, you just can't listen to it to like common sense,
bro.
Yeah, you're like, okay, like I hear what you're saying and what you're saying is not making sense. But I guess the people in the congregation, they're hearing something else and they're like, praise the Lord. Yeah, thank God we're worse off, but we're more spiritual.
It's when you are in that mindset, in that belief mindset, you are hearing it in a different, you are interpreting what is being said. The same words are being said. Like, if I remember the first time I listened to my father's sermon after I became an atheist, holy shit.
Absolute, that's bullshit.
Absolute bullshit. I was like, when God is interested in you, the reason why God is interested because he's in you. I'm like, 404. Baba, what did they talk?
Right.
Yeah, brother, we're just laughing. He went on a visitation, so we had to just be like, hear this man. He's talking rubbish. Rubbish. It's just crazy. Like, sometimes all these plays of YouTube videos of some people talking about my Bible, I'm like, oh God, what nonsense are these people saying? I'm so tempted to respond, but let me not cast my own
I cannot imagine. I would want to say something. I just be like, but it's not adding up,
That's the struggle here. It's slow, it's steady, but it's slow and steady. The silver lining of COVID was a lot of people became less religious. If they didn't even lose it, if they didn't stop being totally religious, they became less. They dialed it down.
I feel like the key is because I regularly go out to church, because church is actually powerful. Because the last time I went to church, a friend invited.
It's weekly updates.
It's an update. Yeah, I went to church, and at that point I was an atheist. This was like earlier this year, and I could really sense how easy it is to just believe and just stay in the faith. You kind of need to not go for a while and let all that all those feelings kind of like go away, and then you can look at things you can start looking at things like clearly, and with
that's why there's a culture of shaming. Well, he didn't go to church today. He didn't go to church. It was created for that, to keep you in the loop. So it's a crazy system of keeping your mind siloed off. That's you're using for the week. Now imagine those that go 3-4 times a week. Those ones you can't. How do they unplug? They go on Sunday. They will go on Wednesday. They will go on Thursday. Then Saturday practice before Sunday, or night vigil on Friday. They don't go on Thursday. So I have to think, bro.
That's just That's ensuring that you're never leaving the cult.
Yeah, I swear. I think I would say thank God I wasn't that indoctrinated.
Yeah.
It was not feasible. It wasn't feasible for my parents to indoctrinate us to that level because we had school the next day.
So in Covenant, you guys didn't have. Was it just a Sunday thing, or did you have?
No, Covenant. There was Tuesday service, like Tuesday assembly, then Sunday, then some other. I don't remember those two services, and those are the two services I usually go for. There are actually some extracurricular, those that are sanctuary inside one sanctuary unit servicing. Different. I just hated that building called the chapel. Oh, it was just a place where someone can enter trouble. You can just do your deal before you know it. They don't carry you, go student affairs. So I did not like that place. So I did my best to stay away as much as possible till I graduated. Fucking stupid place. Yeah. So bro, it has been awesome sharing your story, hearing your story. Thank you for coming. Or do you want us to find you online?
I think for now, I'm good.
Okay.
Rather stay anonymous. Yeah.
Okay. It's very, very understandable. Low key.
Yeah. Don't want to deal with all the. I don't know. Yeah. If Nigerians were more, open to atheists, then sure. But obviously, you know how Nigerians are. Like you're a devil.
They are still learning, no? It's a slow process. They are still struggling to accept LGBTQ people. Now, people that don't believe in God. What is this world coming to? These are the end of days.
We're taking it too far.
The last of the last days.
Yeah. You're just taking it too far.
I am 33 and I'll be here the last of the last days. Get the fuck out of here.
Dude, guy, let me tell you that I told you I'm 30, I'm turning 31. I never thought I would live this long. I was sure that Jesus, because in school now, I remember they told us that the Antichrist was already born and was already walking the earth. So man, I'm thinking that, by, I don't know, maximum 18, 20, Jesus was coming back.
That means there'll be a lot of Gen Zs that have that mentality too now.
It was crazy, bro. Like, I look now and I see my friends, they have children, and I could never, I was not even thinking about my future. Like, I wasn't thinking far ahead because, like I said, I thought the world was coming to an end so soon. So what's the point? It's crazy.
Since the year 2000, when that all the Y2K thing did not happen, I was just like, whenever the world ends, fuck it, it's happen. I just stopped here. How was I dead? I was 10 years. I give up on that whole panicky. Although whenever they bring up rapture talk, there's always that anxiety. Even when I noticed that thing in 2021 too. I was watching one documentary of that. Next thing, I started having that feeling again. I'm like, holy shit. This documentation is deep. They used to, in my school back then, remember that we had the whole event where they played the Passion of the Christ. Yeah.
Guy, it was like an emotional blackmail. Like, oh my God, look how Jesus suffered for you.
And that is not meant to be. They show it to children. That is not. It's not children age appropriate for children. But they want to scare the shit out of children. That's the game. That's the plan. Fuck Mel Gibson, man. Fuck that nigga.
Guy, it was effective.
That film was anti-Semitic to the core.
It was effective. Like, we were terrified and we felt guilty.
Now you kill Jesus.
And it's so weird when you think about it, because it's like, did I ask him to?
They're not going to ask that kind of question. Did I did there? Waiting, did I did there?
Yeah, right. At that point, you're not thinking about those things now. But now that you're like free from the mental and emotional abuse, you're like, okay, well, even if he died for us, like he didn't, but even if he did, okay, was I there? Did I ask him to? Like, why do I all of a sudden? Yeah, why do I all of a sudden have to feel emotional and, like, feel like, oh, he he gave me a gift and he went out of his way. Like, I didn't ask for it. So.
I ever do that song position. All the way to Calvary.
I know. You did the emotional, they cry.
Crazy. All right, bro. It's been awesome. Thanks for sharing your story. I really appreciate it, man.
For sure, bro. Thanks for having me.
Nice one. Good having you here. Thank you for listening to this episode. Please subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, and other places you will find podcasts. Check out the show notes for links you may find useful, especially our Discord server. Would love to have you there. Have a great week, and I will catch you on the next one.